Hi guys, welcome to my channel, Our Fun Tell Us a Story. So I'm gonna talk about the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, commonly known as the United Kingdom or UK or Britain, is a sovereign country in Europe off the northwestern coast of the continental mainland. It comprises England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland. The United Kingdom includes the island of Great Britain, the northeastern part of the island of Ireland, and many smaller islands within the British Isles. Northern Ireland shares a land border with the Republic of Ireland. Otherwise, the United Kingdom is surrounded by the Atlantic Ocean, the North Sea, the English Channel, the Celtic Sea, and the Irish Sea. The total area of the United Kingdom is 242,495 square kilometers or 93,628 square miles, with an estimated 2020 population of more than 67 million people. The United Kingdom is constitutional monarchy and parliamentary democracy. The monarch, Queen Elizabeth II, has rights since 1952. The capital and largest city is London, a global city and financial center with a metropolitan area population of over 40 million. Wow! Other major cities include Birmingham, Manchester, Glasgow, Liverpool, and Leeds. Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland have their own devolved governments, each with varying powers. Yeah, that's the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom has evolved from a series of annexations, unions, and separations of constituent countries over several hundred years. The Treaty of Union between the Kingdom of England, which included Wales annexed in 1542 and the Kingdom of Scotland in 1707, from the Kingdom of Great Britain, its union in 1801 with the Kingdom of Ireland created the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland. Most of Ireland seceded from the UK in 1922, leaving the present United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, which formally adopted that name in 1927. The nearby Isle of Man, Guernsey, and Jersey are not part of the UK, being Crown dependencies with the British government responsible for defence and international representation. There are also 14 British overseas territories, the last remnants of the British Empire, which at its height in the 1920s encompassed almost a quarter of the world landmass and a third of the world's population, and was the largest empire in history. British influence can be observed in the language, culture, and the legal and political system of many of its former colonies. And the United Kingdom has the world's sixth largest economy by nominal gross domestic products or GDP, and the eighth largest by purchasing power parity or PPP. It has a high income economy and a very high human development index rating, ranking 13 in the world. It also performs well in international rankings of education, healthcare, life expectancy, and human development. This country became the world's first industrialist country and was the world's foremost power during the 19th and early 20th centuries. Today, the UK remains one of the world's great powers, with considerable economic, cultural, military, scientific, technological, and political influence internationally. It is a recognized nuclear state and is ranked for globally in military expenditure. It has been a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council since its first session in 1946. The United Kingdom is a member of the Commonwealth of Nations, the Council of Europe, the G7, the Group of 10, the G20, the United Nations, NATO, AUKUS, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development or OECD, Interpol, and the World Trade Organization. It was a member state of the European Communities or EC and its successor, the European Union or EU, from its accession in 1973 until its withdrawal in 2020 following a referendum held in 2016. So we talk about history now. Settlement by anatomically modern humans of what was to become the United Kingdoms occurs in Wales beginning by about 3,000 years ago. By the end of the region's prehistoric period, the population is thought to have belonged in the main to a culture termed Insular Celtic comprising Brittonic Britain and Gaelic Ireland. And on 1st of May 1707, the Kingdom of Great Britain was formed, the result of Act of Union being passed by the Parliament of England and Scotland to ratify the 1706 Treaty of Union and so unite the two kingdoms. In the 18th century, cabinet government developed under Robert Walpole, in practice the first prime minister. 1721 until 1742, a series of Jacobite uprisings sought to remove the Protestant House of Hanover from the British throne and restore the Catholic House of Stuart. The Jacobites were finally defeated at the Battle of Culloden in 1746, after which the Scottish Highlanders were brutally suppressed. The British colonized in North America that broke away from Britain in the American War of Independence became the United States of America, recognized by Britain in 1783. British imperial ambition turned toward Asia, particularly to India. The term United Kingdom became official in 1801 when the Parliament of Great Britain and Ireland is passed on an Act of Union, uniting the two kingdoms and creating the United Kingdoms of Great Britain and Ireland. By the mid-1920s, most of the British population could listen to BBC radio programs. Experimental television broadcasts began in 1929 and the first scheduled BBC television service commenced in 1936. During the Second World War, the UK was one of the big three powers, along with the US and the Soviet Union, who met to plan the post-war world. It was an originally signatory to the Declaration by United Nations. After the war, the UK became one of the 5 permanent members of the United Nations Security Council and works closely with the United States to establish the IMF, World Bank, and NATO. The war left the UK severely weakened and financially dependent on the Marshall Plan, but it was period the total war that devastated Eastern Europe. The UK broadly supported the United States' approach to the war on terror in the early years of the 21st century, controversially surrendered some of Britain's overseas military deployments, particularly in Afghanistan and Iraq. Economy of the UK. The UK has partially regulated market economy based on market exchange rates. The UK is today the 5th largest economy in the world and the 2nd largest in Europe after Germany. XM Treasury, led by the Chancellor of the Exchequer is responsible for developing and executing the government's public finance policy and economic policy. The Bank of England is the UK's central bank and is responsible for issuing notes and coins in the nation's currency, the pound sterling. Banks in Scotland and Northern Ireland retain the right to issue their own notes, subject to retaining enough Bank of England notes in reserve to cover their issue. The pound sterling is the world's fourth largest reserve currency, after the US dollar, euro, and Japanese yen. Since 1997, the Bank of England's Monetary Policy Committee, headed by the Governor of the Bank of England, has been responsible for setting interest rates at the level necessary to achieve the overall inflation target for the economy that is set by the Chancellor each year. Moreover, the UK service sector makes up around 79% of GDP. London is one of the world's largest financial centers, ranking second in the world behind New York City. In the Global Financial Center Index in 2020, London also has the largest city GDP in Europe. Edinburgh ranks 17th in the world and 6th in Western Europe in the Global Financial Center Index in 2020. Tourism is very important to the British economy, with over 27 million tourists arriving in 2004. The United Kingdom is ranked as the sixth major tourist destination in the world, and London has the most international visitors of any city in the world. The creative industries accounted for 7% GPA in 2005 and grew at an average of 6% per annum between 1997 and 2005. Following the United Kingdom's withdrawal from the European Union, the functioning of the UK internal economic market is enshrined by the United Kingdom Internal Market Act 2020, which ensures trade in goods and services continues without internal barriers across the four countries of the United Kingdom. It's a lot of information about United Kingdom. Okay, let's continue. The Industrial Revolution started in the UK with an initial concentration on the textile industry, followed by other heavy industries such as shipbuilding, coal mining, and steel making. British merchants, shippers, and bankers developed overwhelming advantage over those of other nations, allowing the UK to dominate international trade in the 19th century. As other nations, industrialists, coupled with economic decline after two world wars, the United Kingdom began to lose its competitive advantage and heavy industry declines by degrees throughout the 20th century. Manufacturing remains a significant part of the economy but accounted for only 16.7% of nation output in 2003. And the Mini Electric is manufactured in the UK. The automotive industry employs around 800,000 people, with turnover in 2015 of 17 billion pound sterling, generating 34.6 billion pound sterling of export. That's 11.8% of the UK's total export goods. In 2015, the UK produced around 1.6 million passenger vehicles and 94,500 commercial vehicles. The UK is major center for engine manufacturing. In 2015, around 2.4 million engines were produced. The UK motorsport industry employs around 41,000 people, comprised around 4,500 companies, and has an annual turnover of around 6 billion pound sterling. The aerospace industry of the UK is the second or third largest national aerospace industry in the world, depending upon the method of measurement, and has an annual turnover of around 30 billion pound sterling. Engines and wings for the Airbus A380 are manufactured in the UK. BAE Systems plays a critical role in some of the world's biggest defense aerospace projects. In the UK, the company makes large sections of the T-Bone Eurofighter and assembles the aircraft for the Royal Air Force. It is also a principal subcontractor on the F-35 Joint Strike Fighter, the world's largest single defense project, for which it designs and manufactures a range of components. It also manufactures the world's most successful classification needed. This needed clarification, but for jet training aircraft, that's really needed. Airbus UK also manufactures the wings for the A400 and military transporter. Rolls-Royce is the world's second largest aero engine manufacturer. Its engines power more than 30 types of commercial aircraft, and it has more than 30,000 engines in service in the civil and defense sectors. The UK space industry was worth 9.1 billion pound sterling in 2011 and employed 29,000 people. It is growing at a rate of 7.5% annually. According to its umbrella organization, the UK Space Agency, in 2013, the British government pledged 60 million pound sterling to the Skyline project. This investment will provide support at a crucial stage to allow full-scale prototype of the Sabre engine to be built. The pharmaceutical industry plays an important role in the UK economy, and the country has the third highest share of global pharmaceutical R&D expenditures. Agriculture is intensive, highly mechanized, and efficient by European standards, producing about 60% of food needs with less than 1.6% of the labor force, 535,000 workers. Around two-thirds of production is devoted to livestock, one-third to arable crops. The UK retains a significant though much reduced fishing industry. It is also rich in a number of natural resources, including coal, petroleum, natural gas, tin, limestone, iron ore, salt, clay, chalk, gypsum, lead, silica, and an abundance of arable land. The City of London is one of two main financial centers in the UK and in the world. Canary Wharf is one of two main financial centers of the United Kingdom. In 2020, coronavirus lockdown measures caused the UK economy to suffer its biggest slump on record, shrinking by 20.4% between April and June compared to the first 3 months of the year. To put it officially into recession for the first time in 11 years. The UK has an external debt of $9.6 trillion, which is the second highest in the world after the US. As a percentage of GDP, external debt is 408%, which is the third highest in the world after Luxembourg and Iceland. About education. Education in England or in the UK. Education in the United Kingdom. So, education in the United Kingdom is developed matter, with each country having a separate education system. Considering the four systems together, about 38% of the United Kingdom population has a university or college degree, which is the highest percentage in Europe and among the highest percentage in the world. The UK trails only the United States in terms of representation on list of the top 100 universities. A government commission's report in 2014 found that properly educated people comprise 7% of the general population of the UK, but much larger percentage of the top professions. The most extreme case quote being 71% of senior judges. Okay, that's it about the United Kingdom. Thank you for watching. See you soon in another video. Bye.